regular meeting of Monday, November 18th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you roll call?
Mayor Nafolda,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink,
Here.
Councilmember Doby,
Here.
Councilmember Hibbard,
Here.
Councilmember Murphy, absent.
And Mr. City Attorney, can you read us into closed session?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. At this time, the City Council will recess into closed session to discuss item 5A as listed on this evening's agenda. Yeah, my pleasure, Mayor. The City Council's returned from closed session with no reportable action taken.
Thank you very much. And now if you can join me in the Pledge
Sorry.
of Allegiance, followed by
Mayor?
Pro Tem.
Sorry, if I may, I would just like to note for the record that Councilmember Murphy is here now.
Okay, thank you. And followed by the invocation from Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads with me. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we are just so thankful, especially in this time of Thanksgiving, that you've allowed us to convene here to do the business of the city, to serve our businesses, to serve our residents, and we're so grateful that you have blessed us with that honor to do that. We ask that tonight you guide us with wisdom and good conversation, and that we just do what's best for the city. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Okay, first, we're going to start with our presentations. And Chief Claiborne, we have the oath of office for Los Alamitos Police Officer Robert Olvera.
All right, there we go. I get the absolute pleasure of being able to add somebody to the Los Alamitos Police Department this evening, and that would be Officer Robert Olvera. Robert was born in Santa Clara, California, and raised in the city of East Palo Alto. He has been married for 6 years and has 2 children, Ian Olvera, 4 years old, and Mateo Olvera, 1 year old. Robert has been a police officer for 7 years, and the majority of those years were serving the city of East Palo Alto. While with East Palo Alto PD, Robert was a field training officer, a school resource officer, and a certified drug recognition expert. Robert, along with his family, moved to Orange County for a better quality of life, and Robert is excited and grateful to be a part of the Los Alamitos family. And his badge will be pinned on this evening by Vanessa Olvera. Vanessa, if you could please come forward. You guys want to turn around for a quick picture? Thank you very much. Now we have a little official business to take care of. I'll let you step forward by the microphone. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robert Olvera,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true, faithful, and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties of upon on which to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, go ahead and sign both. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You gotta stay up there, Chief, you got one more. Just wanna extend my personal, congratulations to, Officer Oliveira, thank you very much. Now we have a presentation of commendation to the Los Alamitos Police Department representatives in recognition of Law Enforcement Records and Support Personnel Appreciation Week.
All right, one more time. I think in law enforcement, you know, when you call 911, right, you hear the voice of communications, and when you call 911, the first thing you see is obviously the officers who arrive to help you with whatever you're dealing with. But a lot of times what gets lost is the machine that helps the police department work behind the scenes, and that is our records and property and evidence clerks that work within the police department. So we take this week to show appreciation for all of the hard work that they do that helps the police department keep going day in and day out. So if I could have you ladies step forward, please. I'm gonna present and if you could all do me a favor and please join me in a round of applause to thank them for all the hard work that they do every day.
Moving on to item C, we have a presentation by Girl Scout Troop 2085 in appreciation of Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink and Councilmember Doty. So if I can invite the Girl Scout Troop up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I'm sorry, I've talked a lot today, so excuse my voice. We are from Girl Scout Troop 2085 from Weaver Elementary School. Thank you for allowing us to have some time today because we wanted to give a huge thank you to two of your City Council members, Mayor Pro Tempore Ms. Hasselbrink and City Council Member Tanya Dobby. They both came to our meeting and spent so much time, and they were so gracious with their knowledge and their passion for what they do here on the City Council. And so we wanted to present them with a couple of gifts, some flowers, and a framed photo, of course, from our day at the Girl Scout house. And we wanted to thank them for planting the seeds of public service in our future leaders. And we're just so grateful for the time that they gave to us on that day. So thank you so much. Thank you both so much. Hey, can we get a photo?
Okay, Now we have item D, presentation of a certificate to Wuti Pat, owner of Tylesian Cuisine, in recognition of Small Business Saturday. If Miss Wuti Pat can come forward. Hi. Did I get that? Okay. All right. So this is in recognition of Small Business Saturday. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 29 million small businesses in the United States that represent more than 99% of American companies, create 62% of net new jobs, and generate half of the private gross domestic product. On November 30th, 2024, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, in conjunction with this year's annual Small Business Saturday, the City of Los Alamitos would like to continue to encourage the entire community to stop by our small business stores and restaurants. The City of Los Alamitos honors small businesses each year throughout the holiday season. Lucky Pete, Tylesian Cuisine is a noteworthy example of small business community in Los Alamitos. The City of Los Alamitos delightfully presents Wuti Pot of Tylesian Cuisine with this proclamation as a representation of small business owners of Los Alamitos who embarked on the adventure to launch business and chose to strive for that goal in our particular community. So in honor of the city. Thank you very much. Okay, the final presentation tonight. Unfortunately, Mr. Fahn could not be here, but the Mayor's Business Spotlight, we focused on Noodles, which is a fairly new restaurant in Los Alamitos. And for those of you who don't know, the Business Spotlight program is a free business recognition program designed to create awareness about the variety of local businesses located in Los Alamitos. The Business Spotlight program is a great way for the city to say thank you, showcase great businesses in Los Al, and also to provide another tool to help our businesses grow. This month, we recognized On Noodles, Asian comfort food. And here's a little, just a little blurb about their restaurant. Guests are invited to embark on a culinary journey that explores the diverse and vibrant flavors of Asia. The restaurant's team of expert chefs is passionate about crafting dishes that are not only delicious, but also visually stunning. With a belief that food is an art form, they take great pride in creating meals that are both beautiful and full of flavor. From the moment diners step through the doors, they are transported to a world of culinary delights, where each dish promises an unforgettable experience that will leave them craving more. And we just kind of want to share a couple seconds of a video that we created.
At On Noodles Asian Comfort Food, guests are taken on a flavorful journey through the vibrant cuisines of Asia. The skilled chefs create dishes that are not only delicious, but also visually stunning, treating food as an art form. From the moment you walk in, you're immersed in a world of bold taste and beautiful presentations, where every dish offers an unforgettable experience that will leave you coming back for more.
So once again, if you are a small business owner and you're interested in participating in this program, just please reach out to our Development Services Department in City Hall. Thank you. Okay. Next next we're going to move on to oral communications. What we're going to do this evening is agenda item 13A for the Labson project. If you're here to speak about that, we're going to hold off until we reach that item on the agenda item. So for purposes of the oral communications, if you want to speak about anything else other than Lamson, this would be your time. No communications? Okay. We will move on to the updates from the mayor. Winter Wonderland. Mark your calendars for the Memorial Care Miller's Children's and Women's Hospital Long Beach Winter Wonderland presented by Southland Credit Union and Universal Waste Systems. This year's event will take place Saturday, December 7th from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and feature an ice skating rink presented by Southland Credit Union, a snow play and sledding area presented by Universal Waste Systems, Santa and the Grinch, vendors, food trucks, entertainment by local performing groups, tree lighting ceremony, sensory calming area, and inflatables at Santa's Village with Santa and the Grinch photo opportunities. This is a free event for the whole family to enjoy. Join us at Pine Street and St. Isidore Historical Plaza. And we move to updates from the city staff.
None tonight, sir.
Okay. Next item is the warrants. I noticed that we did not have any questions in advance. Are there any questions to note that will be taken down and then answered at a later time? Having no questions, can I get a motion?
I'll move them.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, roll call if you wouldn't mind.
Oh,
Mayor Nafolda,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink,
Aye.
Councilmember Doby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hibbard,
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy.
Aye.
Consent calendar. All consent calendar items may be acted upon by one motion unless a council member requests separate action on a specific item. Does anybody want to pull one item?
I'll move the calendar.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 12, discussion item, survey results for potential name change of Apartment Row.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to turn this over to Director Noda to explain the amount of outreach and the results of what we learned.
Thank you, City Manager Simmons. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, and City staff. Just give me 1 minute as I pull up my report. I apologize, it's just PDFs are a little time consuming sometimes. All right, so again, this item is changing of the name Apartment Row Neighborhood. And so this was at a request of council to, specifically Councilmember Doby, to survey the Apartment Row neighborhood about the potential change for it. So Los Alamitos is split up into 16 different neighborhoods, and if you are a resident of Los Alamitos, you associate yourself with your neighborhoods, and each neighborhood take great pride in where they live. You know, whether you're from the Highlands to you know, suburbia to Carrier Row to Apartment Row, etc. Again, you know, each neighborhood has a unique charm and a unique history to it. Apartment Row, and it's highlighted here, is an area. So if you see right there, north of Apartment Row is Catella Avenue, and to the south is Farquhar Avenue, and to the west is LaSalle Boulevard, and to the east is Lexington Boulevard. It is the city's most dense populated neighborhood, and it has both single-family homes and commercial properties, commercial property for business, which is on the Catella frontage a lot of times, on the LaSalle Boulevard frontage. But when we say commercial property for housing, it's the multi-unit apartments or condos. There are 2 parks located in Apartment Row, which is Stearns Park and Labradette Park. And again, it is the most dense and populated area of Los Alamitos. So a survey was sent out. It was piggybacked on the survey for the neighborhood sign survey. So citywide, we asked input from all the residents that want to participate in the online poll if they wanted to have specific signage to highlight their neighborhood. And so when you clicked on and said that I resided in Apartment Row, then this was a supplemental question in regards to the name change for this neighborhood. So here are the results of those name change. One of the question was, do you think that Apartment Row name should be changed? And as you can see, I know it's a little bit small, but it's also given to you, I believe. It is 75% that said yes, that they would like to have their neighborhood of Apartment Row, their name changed. Additional questions here was then, if you recall, we came to City Council to narrow the name of the Apartment Row, and so they were, City Council selected various ones, 3 of them. So it was Cottonwood, Cove, I believe, Cottonwood Blank, and Cottonwood Place. And so which of the names do you like below? And so the number 1 option was Cottonwood Blank, all right? And again, I apologize for it being small, but some of the names that were suggested, and this is on the bottom there, and of course on this next slide as well, whoops, is the top ones were Cottonwood Cove, and let's see what else here. Cottonwood Place, and it's funny, it's not funny, but Midtown was also in there as well as others. But the top 2 were Cottonwood Cove and Cottonwood Place. All right. So tonight, we asked council to discuss the potential name change of Apartment Row, and to also provide a recommendation of a name change. And that concludes my report. I'm here for any questions.
Were there any other suggestions for Cottonwood Blank?
I know that we can't exactly engage with the public at this time, but theoretically, if I were to ask those in attendance if they would prefer Cottonwood Place, and you raised your hand, please do so. If I were to ask if anyone likes Cottonwood Cove better, we have 1, 2. Cottonwood Cove with 2 votes. Thank you.
I'm fine with just Cottonwood, like, that seems to be simply popular. Anything is an upgrade, I think, at this point.
I agree.
So, and as the resident from that area, I can be from Cottonwood. I think it's great.
For mapping purposes, should we be a little bit more specific? We have Cottonwood Park or Little Cottonwood Park.
No, Cottonwood, like straight Cottonwood,
Yeah.
right? That's what got the highest votes. Cottonwood Blank, which is Cottonwood, and then Cottonwood was secondary, which is essentially 2 Cottonwoods.
I know it's in our report somewhere, but is there about 4,000 residents? Mr. Noda?
Again, let me check my report here, sir.
So Cottonwood Blank received 28, so 28 people only responded to that one. Cottonwood received 21.
And there were 85 total, but I think there's north of 4,000.
I'm gonna ask my planner if he knows the population of Cottonwood, Apartment Row.
It's half the city, basically. As far as half the units of the city, so it's probably, let's see, 4,000, 12,000, probably 6,000, around there.
And 89 voted. I'm gonna go on a limb here because I don't like Cottonwood. It seems like most people don't really have an opinion. I like Midtown. I'm gonna throw it out there. All those in favor?
Aye.
I don't know what we do.
Does anyone with us today like Midtown by a show of hands? 1, 2, 3. Oh, 3 with the winner.
All right.
With
Can I get
3.
a motion for Midtown?
How does that work? Like, is that not presumptuous of us? Like, hey, we did this survey, but, it was indeterminate, so.
It was 89 out of 6,000. I don't think people are really thinking about what they're,
Yeah, maybe not.
so I'll take the lead.
I'll support Midtown as well. That's,
So I'll make the motion. Is that a second?
I'll second Midtown.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
No. I like Cottonwood because there's a little Cottonwood Park that represents that area. So. And that's what the respondents who did respond, that was what they had stated they wanted, and we should be doing it for the community. So I'm with Cottonwood.
So with council's direction, this will dovetail nicely into the branding that will start happening actually after the first of the year. So neighborhood-specific signage, branding and such, that'll be obviously part of what the entire package pulls together. So this is a good first step.
Okay.
We have item B, council member requested agenda item, electronic delivery of financial information.
So it might be helpful, I don't know if the city clerk or the city attorney would like to walk through what exactly the process is with regards to this. Typically, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, when there is a council-initiated item, you then receive the entire council. If they say, yes, we're open to this idea, the council receives a very bare-bones staff report that we spend very little time on until you, as a body, direct us to go and work on this. And that would mean going into potentially surveys, looking at different policies that we could write, researching what exactly the policies are that are already in place. But what you have in front of you tonight is just a general outline of what exactly the city currently does on this front.
This was my motion. I'm going to, this is a little bit, it reads a little bit different than my motion, and I'll just read it into the record. It says, in an effort to show the residents of Los Alamitos that this council values financial transparency and accountability, I move to direct staff to electronically deliver any and all financial information and legal invoices, unredacted, to any member of council upon request. And for the public here, the reason why I did this is I'm a business person. I've been on this council for about 2 years. And the entire time I've been on this council, the city financial reports have been subpar. It's reflected poorly on me as an individual, as a business owner, as someone who takes finances very seriously. I live in the Highlands, and I've had resident after resident after resident come up to me very concerned about the city's finances. For an example, the city's annual budget is around 23, 24 million, maybe the size of some of your businesses, annual budgets for your businesses. Within months of being on this council, I found over $10 million in errors on the city's annual financial report. This is like getting your W-2 at the end of the year, not realizing that half was missing. Fast forward a little bit, and our proposed budget had about $4 million of errors in the proposed budget. That was passed by the majority of this council. In addition to that, the warrants that we review every month, over the approximately 20 meetings that I've attended since being on this council, I've identified approximately 100 errors in those warrants. The reason why I've asked for invoices, contracts, financial data that I think is due not just to me as a council member, but to the public, is because of the issues that I've seen as a council member. I think we're here to represent the public, and multiple times that financial information has been withheld. So I want to go on record tonight and separate myself from the city's financials, although I'm on council, and myself. I've asked for invoices, I've asked for contracts, and there have been, the majority of this council has recently passed a policy that no longer will financial information be provided electronically to a council member, particularly myself. I think I ask for the most, and I think that's because I find the most errors. The last meeting that I attended, I had to spend about 4 hours here at City Hall thumbing through papers that could have been provided to myself over the weekend. I didn't need to waste any staff time doing this. I had to absolutely waste our finance director's time sitting in his office thumbing through papers. There's no other city in this county that does this. I've been contacted by electeds throughout the county. This is subpar. City council members and other electeds throughout the county are highly concerned about the city of Los Alamitos and the way that we're handling our finances. So tonight, I don't need a discussion. I don't need any policies, but I wanted to personally separate myself and go on the record so that the public knows I've been asking for financial information. I've been trying to get down to things. I found several financial errors. Make your public records requests, do what you'd like, but I want to personally stand out and just make it known this is not the quality that I expect. This type of financial reporting is not okay with me. So, thank you.
So, I take it there's no motion. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, the only direction would be if the council as a whole would like to bring this back for further discussion. Absent that, it would culminate right now with this item tonight.
I had one question to my colleague. What was the reasoning for the unredacted legal invoices?
When I first joined council and I asked for legal invoices, they were provided. I came down to City Hall, and I learned things about this city that preceded myself joining council. What I learned was issue for concern. It concerned me even more than I was before I asked to see the invoices. Since then, I've asked additional questions because I'm very concerned. And since then, the legal invoices have been redacted. So thank you for asking, because the information that is being provided to me as a council member is dwindling down in the just 2 years that I've been on council. Thank you.
And I do believe the reason it's redacted is because of attorney-client privilege, and the city is the client.
Yeah, legal invoices do include information and descriptions that are protected by the attorney-client privilege. That's a privilege that's held by the council as a whole. So it's not something that an individual per se is entitled to review. So it's within the council's purview to decide how they want to administer or manage those confidential materials.
I'm an advocate for public transparency. I think from top to bottom that this council should be transparent. So.
Okay, so the motion then, if I'm correct, is does the council as a whole want to bring this back or anything further?
That if there's a desire to have a further discussion on this and discuss changes to policies or approach, then we would need a motion directing staff to bring it back as a regular discussion item. If there's no desire to do that, then no action needs to be taken this evening.
Is there such a motion? So, we will move on. Public hearing, site development permit, 22-2, 4665 Lamson project. So how we're gonna handle this is first we're gonna get a presentation by the staff, and then I'm gonna have the applicant come forward and address the council, and then we'll take public comments. With that.
Thank you, sir. And we'll turn this over again to Dr. Noda.
All right, thank you. Tonight, I want to introduce Bill Halligan. He is down the way over there. He is part of Harrison Associates. He is the city's contracted vendor that assisted us along with our planner, Tom Oliver, and of course the city attorney's office to help mitigate or help go through this project here. All right, so tonight on the agenda is a project description, the EIR process, the EIR findings, project consideration, and of course, staff recommendation. Bit of the background. Regional Housing Needs Allocation RHNA. Since 1969, the state of California has required that all local government adequately plan to meet the housing needs of everyone in the community. Our current cycle, which is the sixth cycle, Los Alamitos was given the RHNA number of 769, which was a vast increase from the fifth cycle numbers. And so we went through the whole process to adopt and modify our housing element. So we went to Planning Commission in December of 2022, and ultimately it was approved by council in February of 23, and we do have a certified housing element from the state of California, the HCD department, as of November of 2022. The project site is located at 4665 Lamson Avenue. It's approximately 12.3 acres, and it's on the northern, it's on the southern end of Los Alamitos. And so if you can see right there on the map that the project site, the north part of it has Arbor Park. The south of it is Lamson Avenue, and Lamson Avenue, it does belong to the jurisdiction of Seal Beach. And to the west is base property, and to the east is the golf course, which is also base property. Adjacent to this site, just for council to be aware, is we do have a Los Alamitos neighborhood. It's more to the east. It's Parkwood. And so, again, most of it is Los Alamitos jurisdiction, but again, the base pretty much surrounds the Lamson site, but we do have a neighborhood on the east. Project description, right? The project description is redeveloping the existing commercial office site to housing with a total of 246 residential units. And so that's basically a 20 density per acre. There's 55 single family homes, SFRs, we call it, 114 townhomes, 77 affordable multifamily apartment homes, and there will be 577 total parking spaces in the site. There are associated infrastructure improvement, and there also are in the site recreation and open space amenities for residents, including a tot lot and neighborhood green space. Benefits, so project scripts again, continue objectives of the project is to develop to help meet the CENA's RHNA requirement, provide variety of housing types and affordability to accommodate increased needs for housing, improve city's job housing balance to reduce common distances consistent with SCAG's Connect SoCal, and create residential character that provides for high quality architectural design. Project benefits, it provides housing, and I want to note that the affordable units, there is a preference for veterans, a live and work preference. So if you live currently in Los Alamitos and need to relocate, or you work currently in Los Alamitos, they will provide a preference. Economic development, it's indirect economic development, Quimby Park fees or in lieu fees, and of course increased property tax revenue annually. Here's the site plan. So like I mentioned earlier, to the north is Arbor Park. To the south, which you can't really see there, is Lamson Avenue, and to the west and east is military base property, with the golf course being on the east part of it. Okay. So in the site itself, you can see on the left side of it, which are the blue units, those are the affordable apartment units. The single-family homes are mainly at the front of the project or on the Lamson side, and the townhomes are more towards the back or the Arbor Park side. The single-family homes, like I stated, there are 55. They could go from 3-bedroom to 2.5 bath to 4-bedroom and 4-bath. The townhomes will go from 2-bedroom to 2.5 bath to 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. And the affordable units are 1 bed, 1 bath to 3 bedrooms, 2 bath units. So there's a variety of bedrooms and bathroom space per each single-family home, townhomes, and apartment units. So I put some pictures here for how the elevations or how the homes they will look like. So these are a typical single-family home. We call them elevations or the drawing schematics. This is how the townhomes would look like. And these are the multifamily schematic designs or elevations. This is a design for a site plan for the open space. And so the open space is the purple, right? And here's some pictures of how the purple space would look. It includes an open green space, which is a large one right in the middle, and then a tot lot, which is the one to the left, all right? Throughout the planning commission process, they made sure to inform staff that they meet the 15% open space requirement that's in the city's code, and they do. Okay. Tonight, we are, as a staff, requesting that council certify the project EIR and adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program and finding a statement of overriding consideration and approval of altogether 4 resolutions. One will be approval of the site development permit. The second one will be approval of tentative parcel map. The third one will be approval of vesting tentative track map. And the 4th resolution will be approval of affordable housing units application for density bonus requests, concessions, and waiver. Here's a chart here that we documented the EIR process. Right? And so it's been a long process for us. As you can see right there that we started around October of 2022 with the declaration notice of preparation. So I want to highlight that all the gold is opportunity for public input. And so as you can see, we then moved over to the scoping meeting. And then the next wave was the public agency review of that EIR, which was done in April of 2024. I'm sorry, I apologize, there's a typo in here because we went to the Planning Commission twice. So we went in September of 24 and October of 24. So again, I apologize for that error. And then of course tonight is a public hearing at City Council. And so throughout the whole process, at the City Council has identified this as a project of significance. So we have done outreach. And so I just want to remind that we are only obligated to do 300 feet surrounding the project site. We have done 1,000 feet around the project site, plus all of College Park East, which is the Seal Beach neighborhood adjacent to the project. So we, at certain point, we did go past the 1,000. We've put a board out there with a QR code to a direct link to the city website, which is there's a specific page for the Lamson project, so anyone can go in there and review the timeline, review the EIR, and review elevation plans, etc. And we have done posting in newspapers, local newspapers, and we have done certified mail to all agencies that has like Seal Beach and Garden Grove, etc. And so we did certified mail as part of the significance, project of significance protocol that we have followed. At this time, I'm gonna let Bill Halligan take over as he takes us through the FEIR.
Great, thank you, Ron. So based on the initial study prepared for the project, the draft EIR analyzed a number of environmental issues, including air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, noise, transportation, and tribal cultural resources.
I'm sorry, Bill. I totally forgot that I was going to mention that council has a packet in front of them, right? And in that packet was, of course, a copy of this staff presentation printed out. Number 2 is an applicant response to additional comment letters. 3 is amended density bonus application, and 4 are all the comments we received for item 13A before 3 p.m. cutoff. So I forgot to mention that, so I just want to make sure that each of you have that packet in front of you. I'm sorry, Bill.
No problem. Based on the analysis in the draft DIR, a number of impacts were found to be less than significant and therefore did not require mitigation measures. That was air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, and noise. Impacts that were found to be less than significant with mitigation measures included biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, and tribal cultural resources. The draft DIR did find that one impact could not be mitigated with all feasible mitigation measures, and that was transportation and traffic. So based on a change to state law, which was Senate Bill 743, level of service is no longer considered a significant impact under CEQA. So now we review transportation impacts based on vehicle miles traveled. So it's the total number of miles traveled per person in the project, and we compare that to the countywide average. And so if you're over the countywide average, it would be significant, and the threshold, the adopted threshold, is 15% below existing vehicle miles traveled per person. So based on the analysis, even with mitigation, the project would have a significant and unavoidable adverse impact based on vehicle miles traveled, and that is because of basically the suburban nature of this area in Los Alamitos. Projects that are a mix of uses or located near transit typically do not have a significant VMT impact. So therefore, a statement of overriding considerations is required, and that's part of your packet. And then a number of issues were raised by members of the public and were responded to in the final EIR, and I'm just going to go through some of those issues here. So with regards to transportation and traffic congestion, the traffic analysis, even though VMT is how we analyze transportation now, the EIR did look at a traditional level of service analysis, and based on that, there was a mitigation measure needed at Seal Beach Boulevard and Lamson, and that mitigation measure is restriping the number 2 westbound left turn lane as a shared left and right turn lane, and that would allow that intersection to operate at an adequate level of service. Regarding cut-through traffic and U-turns, project traffic would utilize Lamson to access either Seal Beach Boulevard or Valley View, and to access the regional freeway system. And internal residential streets would not provide direct connection and would not be desirable as alternative routes. So because of the way the project is located, it doesn't provide a method of cut through traffic to avoid transportation impacts or congestion. Additionally, U-turns at Rose by project residents are not anticipated, since there's a full access driveway at the primary neighborhood entry, so that you can do right outs and lefts as well. Another issue that was brought up was the accidents and potential collisions and circulation. Initially, there was a proposed traffic signal at the neighborhood entry on Lamson Avenue. However, in coordination with Seal Beach, that intersection does not meet traffic signal warrants. So at this time, there's not enough traffic to necessitate installation of a traffic signal. The EIR and final EIR did look at existing crash rates along Candleberry Avenue in Lamson, Rose Street in Lamson, Tulip Street in Lamson, and Valley View Street in Lamson, and they were compared to statewide average crash rates, and they are below statewide averages. The site circulation also includes internal drive aisles and would allow for two-way traffic. A number of pedestrian and bicycle facilities are proposed as part of the project. So that would include frontage improvements, including median improvements, sidewalks, driveway modifications, and the project would maintain the existing Class 2 bike lane on Lamson Avenue. Driveways would meet current city standards and accommodate pedestrian crossings per current ADA standards. And the project does not create any new site distance issues. Parking was also brought up a while back. Parking was deleted from the Appendix G checklist, which is part of the CEQA guidelines. So typically we don't consider parking a significant impact. However, they did do a parking analysis and looked at the parking issues related to Arbor Park and Arbor Dog Park, and two options were considered. A voluntary commitment by the project to provide a 10-foot strip of land along the northern boundary of the project site, or in addition to that, provide additional width on the north side of the Arbor Park parking lot, which would provide additional parking opportunities. Implementation of these options would allow for up to 154 additional spaces with the first option. With both options, 200 parking spaces could be provided. As far as on-site parking, the project provides parking, but it's because of the affordable component. Per state law, they are allowed to provide fewer spaces than code allows. So the project provides 18% fewer spaces than city code, but 26% more spaces than what's required under code section 65915P for affordable housing projects. And also, when compared to Seal Beach's parking standards, it exceeds the parking required by Seal Beach that would be required by Seal Beach by 84 spaces. With regard to hydrology and wastewater infrastructure, there's additional information in the final EIR, and there were revisions added to the hydrology study to address additional flows down Lamson to Ironwood and Hazelnut Avenues. During the peak 100-year storm event, stormwater flows would be detained within the site through an underground detention basin, and then after the peak flows, the water would then be released. So detained volumes would be discharged at a rate that does not exceed the existing flow rates. So during a storm event, it would not increase the potential for flooding downstream. The finished floor elevations of the project would be at least 1 foot above peak 100-year storm event water surface elevations. And the stormwater flows would be detained within the project during, as part of the proposed detention facilities, and it would not substantially alter the existing drainage patterns in the area. With regards to sewer, a sanitary sewer analysis was prepared and concluded that existing sewer systems would accommodate additional project flows. The project is subject to connection and service fees to offset any increased demand and to assist in facility expansion and service. The project applicant would be required to pay development impact fees for necessary improvements. And there are two potential options for sewer, but neither, under both instances, there would be no significant impacts. With regards to emergency vehicle access, the project provides a restricted emergency vehicle access point at Lamson Avenue on the eastern end of the site. And then per OCFA guidelines, a fire master plan will be required for the project and approved by OCFA. And the project would also be required to comply with all applicable fire codes and ordinances, and the site plan has been submitted to OCFA to ensure compliance. With regards to police protection, the City of Los Alamitos Police Department was contacted to determine if the project would require the construction or expansion of new facilities, and it was determined that the project would not generate a typical amount of police calls for residential development. With regards to the proximity to the Los Alamitos Joint Forces training base, the project site is not within a clear zone or accident potential zone for the JFTB. So there's nothing precluding development, which is evidenced by the fact that there's an office building there now. The FAA issued a determination of no hazard to air navigation for the project, and the project site is not located with any current flight pattern. However, the project site, due to its location, the applicant will provide buyers an awareness notification as required by the city's approval process. The EIR looked at noise impacts and the need for noise insulation. Proposed residential uses would be between 60 and 65 for outdoor noise levels per the noise level contours. The project will implement sound attenuation methods to limit the interior noise level to 45 decibels per the building code and a project design feature that's included in the EIR, and that's PDF N2. The project would not expose people residing or working in the area to excessive noise levels from airport or aircraft operations. With regards to open space and the provision of on-site amenities, there was a parks impact analysis included in the final EIR, and that's Technical Appendix M. The estimated visitors from the project would be well within the capacity of Arbor Park and Heather Park. The project provides 1.33 acres of open space for on-site open space for residents, and the increase in residents would not increase use of parks that that would result in a substantial use or deterioration of existing parks. So there would be no significant impact to existing parks and park space. And so tonight, there are 4 resolutions, and the first one is adopt Resolution 2024-06, and that certifies the EIR. Resolution number 2024-07, and that is for the tentative parcel map. Resolution 2024-08, and that is for the recommending that the City Council approve an affordable housing unit application for the Lamson project. And then Resolution 2024-09, which is the site development permit for the project.
I want to add, Council, that we went through this through the Planning Commission, and so at the last Planning Commission, which was last month or October of 2024, they did recommend all 4 to City Council for approval with a vote of 7-0. So I just want to provide that FYI to the Council. Okay, that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
At this point, we have the applicant, representative from the applicant come forward.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, my name is George Voigt. I'm with the applicant team. It's a pleasure to be here in front of you this evening. Before I begin, I just want to point out that it appeared as if the resolution numbers that were commented on may have been from a previous presentation. I think they might be needed to be clarified.
Yeah, I can make that clarification. Thank you for raising the issue. So it does look like we had carryover from the Planning Commission PowerPoint presentation in terms of the recommended actions. The PowerPoint presentation was referring to the resolutions that the Planning Commission did approve, recommending approval to the council. But council is actually being asked to approve different resolutions that are noted in your staff report. But just real quickly for the record, this evening the recommendation would be adoption of Resolution 2024-44. That pertains to approval of the final EIR and adoption of the Statement of Overriding Considerations. You'd also be asked to adopt Resolution 2024-45. This relates to approving the tentative parcel map, 2022-133, and tract map 19263. There's also adoption of Resolution 2024-46, which is approving the affordable housing unit application and the density bonus provisions. And then there's adoption of Resolution 2024-47, which is approving site development permit major for the 4665 Lamson project. Again, these are appropriately referenced in the staff report and staff's recommendation for this evening.
Do you know what page those are on in the staff report?
The recommended action or the attached resolutions?
The resolutions that you just read that you corrected.
They are attachments 1 through 4 of the staff report.
Do you have the pages on that by any chance?
Resolution 2024-44 starts at page 487 of 3005.
Okay.
Resolution 2024-45 starts at page 492.
Okay.
Resolution 2024-46 begins at page 496.
Is that the tract map?
2024-46 is approving the housing unit application.
Housing unit. And I'm sorry, what page was that on again?
That's on 496.
Thank you.
And then the final resolution here is Resolution 2024-47, which is on page 501 of the agenda packet. And that's for the site development permit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So first, I'd like to thank staff very much for very clearly putting a lot of effort into that project presentation. We appreciate everybody's efforts. I've been lucky enough to grow up in this community and to have raised my family here as well. I played baseball at LYB as a kid. I played basketball at NJB at the high school. 30 years later, my two boys had an opportunity to do the exact same thing, and I had an opportunity to coach both of them at LAYB and NJB. All three of my kids have been lucky enough to go to world-class schools here in Los Alamitos. They all attended McGaw, McAuliffe, and Los Alamitos High School. There's been a lot of discussion about this project being proposed by outside developers with no appreciation for the dynamics of the area. That simply couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that from the very beginning, we were insistent on developing a project that was harmonious with the surrounding neighborhood. Any other developer would have proposed a project where all of the market rate homes were 3 stories high, including the ones that are oriented along Lamson, that we've designed as 2 stories to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Any other developer also would have proposed significantly more units throughout the project, which we chose not to do in order to design the project the way that you see it in front of you tonight. I'd like to share a little more information about how this new neighborhood will be beneficial to the city of Los Alamitos, the community at large, and how it has been designed to be compatible with the surrounding area. We have partnered with 2 best-in-class groups for the build-out of this community. We've selected Lennar to be our builder partner for the for sale piece of the community, and have selected Cottle & Cottle to be our builder partner for the apartments. Lennar is a public home builder who has extensive experience throughout Southern California and who is committed to going above and beyond what is required with green building initiatives. Cottle & Cottle is a multi-generational affordable housing builder who self-manages all of the projects they're involved with throughout Southern California. This housing community also represents an opportunity for people who've grown up in this area to come back and buy a home and raise their families in the community they grew up in. Why shouldn't there be more opportunities for people to come back and allow their kids to grow up in this great community and to attend the world-class schools that the Los Alamitos School District has to offer? This housing community will generate over $4 million in fees to the city of Los Alamitos. Between Quimby fees and other development impact fees, this new community will also generate approximately $2 million in fees to the Los Alamitos School District. And perhaps more important than the fees, the school fees, are the children that this community will bring to the area. As we all know, the Los Alamitos School District is not immune to the declining enrollment issues that school districts throughout Southern California are currently experiencing. This new community will help bring new students to the district and significantly help with that issue. This neighborhood community is also something that we are confident the city of Los Alamitos will be extremely proud of once fully constructed. The architectural attention to detail and the building materials that were selected will produce a very elegant and beautiful finished product. This neighborhood was designed with a diverse mix of homes for current and future residents within an existing community that we look forward to being a part of. In the 60s and 70s, there were undoubtedly people who were up in arms about all of the perceived impacts that would affect the area with the addition of College Park East, the Highlands, and Rossmore. If those voices were listened to at that time, then none of the opponents of this project would have had a chance to buy a home in this area and raise their families here. This new neighborhood is no different. People have a hard time with change. We understand that. But that is not a good enough reason to oppose this new neighborhood and not allow it to move forward, particularly given all of the overwhelmingly positive benefits that this neighborhood will provide to the city of Los Alamitos. We appreciate everybody's time and the opportunity to be here in front of you this evening. Myself and other members of our development team are here to answer any specific questions that you may have. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Todd Cottle to talk to you about his firm, CNC Development, and our affordable project.
Good evening. My name's Todd Cottle. I'm with CNC Development and excited to be here this evening to talk not only about this project, but the affordable workforce housing piece in specific detail. Excited to be working with the City of Los Alamitos to provide affordable housing, workforce housing, and excited to be part of this development team. CNC Development is a family business that's been providing affordable and workforce housing throughout Orange County for over 30 years. In addition to being the developer of this community, we are also going to be the on-site manager and the property manager of this community as well. CNC has never sold an affordable development, an affordable community that we have built. We take a long-term commitment not only to the design of the building, the construction, but the management and operations, and bring that experience to each new community that we develop. These 77 units are designed to serve lower-income residents, our local workforce, and veterans within the community. This development represents the first new opportunity for the city of Los Alamitos to produce affordable housing in over 30 years, and we will be one of only 2 affordable communities that exist within the community. The project will provide and contain an on-site leasing office, an on-site manager who will live and work at the community, approximately 2,800 square feet of community space, which is comprised of our leasing office, our computer room, and our community room space. We'll have on-site resident services consisting of after-school programming and adult education, and these services are not only available to our residents, but they're open to the surrounding community. So whether or not you're in the market rate component, you're in the affordable housing, you have access to those services. We'll have a shared electric vehicle that'll be used for the residents of the community, and we'll also have, as staff had referenced, a local leasing preference for households that currently either live or work within the city of Los Alamitos, and a 25% preference for veterans household. And thank you for allowing me to present, and here to answer any additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll open it up for public comment. We'll start with the cards that I have, and when you come forward, if you can just, or if you haven't turned in a card yet, just hang on to it, and once we get through these, we'll move on to those. So, I have Elizabeth Hansberg.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Elizabeth Hansberg. I'm with People for Housing, Orange County. We are an advocacy group for the production of more affordable workforce and first-time homebuyer housing. And we are really excited to support this project, which we've been supporting for a while now, because it is exactly that. It is affordable housing and first-time homebuyer housing for the now grown children who have come up in Los Al and want to be able to stay and raise their own families here, for people that are working in and around Los Alamitos and cannot be residents because we have a lack of missing middle housing, that middle density housing that middle income people can afford. And so this project gives more options and more opportunities to people that want to be part of the Los Alamitos community, where they can eat, shop, play, stay, and support. And they would really like to do that. And I want to remind you, I don't know if you were able to watch any of the Planning Commission meetings, but one of our advocates, a man named Max, who is a young person who grew up in this community, unfortunately could not be here tonight because he has COVID. But as of this weekend, he was planning to be here to support this project. And he came out twice to both Planning Commission meetings and shared his experiences growing up playing soccer in the parks here. And he shared that he can't live here. He can't live here because there isn't housing that's affordable to him. And for all the Maxes that have come up and want to stay and continue to be a part of your community, I'm asking you to approve this project. Thank you.
Patty Campbell.
Mayor, if I may, our timer is not working, so I will be doing a 3-minute timer on my computer. It will ding when it's done. Unfortunately, won't have the countdown in colors like we normally have.
Susan Perrell.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Susan Perrell. I'm a longtime resident of Seal Beach. I really appreciate the opportunity to comment tonight about the Lamson project. So we all know that every California city is struggling to meet housing mandates. We need to build more housing. Yes, we do need to build more housing, but we don't have to do it badly. We don't have to build at the expense of our environment, our sustainability, and the livability of our communities. This project as proposed, we all know, creates significant impacts and other impacts. And the thing is, these impacts are really easily mitigatable to some or to a major extent. You may know that the Seal Beach Community Development staff submitted written comments on the EIR on this project during the public comment period. The Seal Beach Environmental Quality Control Board also submitted written comments. Both of those letters provided specific suggestions to mitigate the project's impacts. Impacts to nuisance street flooding, traffic safety, pedestrian safety, vehicle miles traveled, stormwater management, stormwater pollution, parking, air emissions, carbon emissions, public resources, including parks. The suggestions that were provided were really quite modest in cost and complexity, and easily achievable, and significantly leveraging to safety and environmental protection. And we submitted these suggestions in good faith and in a friendly, neighborly way. But the response to our comments and suggestions was not so friendly and neighborly. The response was defensive and defiant. You blew off your neighbor's suggestions. So yeah, it's a little disappointing. I urge you, Council and Mayor, to read, if you haven't already, or maybe reread, and consider the comments submitted before certifying this project EIR. Especially VMT, the finding of overriding considerations is really a big stretch when this significant impact is mitigatable, feasibly mitigatable. I'm not sure how we can get there. But you may agree, we can accomplish all of the project's goals, which are great. And we can fulfill the state's housing mandate. We can maintain good relations with neighboring residents in Seal Beach, with the city of Seal Beach. We can maintain the livability and the sustainability of our communities, uphold the intents and purposes of CEQA, and maybe even reduce risk of decision appeal, just with some thoughtful appreciation, consideration of our mitigation proposals. Thank you so much.
Jennifer Bullard.
Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Jennifer Bullard, and I'm a resident here in Rossmore Highlands. And I'm here excited to support the project this evening. My husband and I bought our home here in 2021, but we're planning to, live the rest of our lives and raise our kids here. And I just think that the opportunity for more community members to come into this city, because it's such a great city, is something we all have to have an open mind to. It would be unfair for me to think like, well, I got what I wanted here and now no one else can have that. And so the community is beautifully designed. It has great amenities. Is it going to have impacts? Yes, but in a few years, we'll be used to this community, and I'm just really excited for the opportunity for future residents to come here and move their families into this neighborhood. Neighborhoods are really what makes a city a community, and I think if we just have a little bit of an open mind, it's bringing people closer together. It's providing a future that I was lucky enough to afford barely a house here, and I think just the opportunity for more families and just people to come grow here in Los Al because it's such a great city is something to support. Thank you.
Brian Bell.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Brian Bell. I was raised in Los Alamitos, current resident of Los Alamitos. I live in Suburbia Estates. The commander of the Los Alamitos American Legion Post 716, a former Marine who was stationed at Seal Beach Naval Weapons Station. And I'm here to support the project, which will provide low-income veteran housing and also live and work options for people who work in the environment. Not to mention the American Legion is an employer in Los Alamitos. In 1998, I completed my 4 years in the Marine Corps, and then I was assigned to 5th Battalion, 14th Marines Regiment at Seal Beach Naval Weapons Station. I really wanted to come back home and live in the community I was raised in, but I was unable to because it was really expensive. So I found myself commuting in from neighboring cities to do my service here and to visit family. And me and my wife saved money for years. About the age of 45, we were finally able to afford a house in Los Alamitos because I wanted to give back to my kids what I experienced, which was the good school districts and the great neighborhoods of Los Alamitos. And we are currently residents here. Providing this low-income housing with a veteran preference is an outstanding way to support and give back to our veterans and welcome them into our community. When we support our veterans, we are also supporting their families. Military service often comes at great personal cost, and the families of veterans share in that burden. Veteran spouses, children, and other loved ones experience long separations, anxiety of deployment, and emotional towards the war by ensuring that veterans have access, emotional towards the war, but by ensuring that veterans have access to quality housing, we create a more stable environment and opportunities for these families. So in conclusion, I urge City Council to prioritize the development and support of our local veterans and our local businesses and to address the issue of affordable housing in our community. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Adam Wood.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Adam Wood with the Building Industry Association. Thank you for the opportunity to comment tonight. More than anything, thank you to staff. They put in a lot of hard work on this. I think there was a very comprehensive presentation that went through all of the major benefits that this provides to the community. I think this was heavily vetted at the Planning Commission level. I think we've heard all the major pros that this will bring to the community. And really, it's something that a lot of other cities would be extremely jealous to have the opportunity to vote on. This is a major contributor to your arena allocation, puts you well ahead of the curve, and in a really great spot for housing production numbers. So it's an exciting opportunity that I think would be a shame to miss. So we're here, we're excited, and I think it's a great opportunity. Hope you can support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Churchill.
Good evening. I've been asked to come in, comment on behalf of a resident of Seal Beach. She's not able to make it at this time. I believe you received her blue slip, Patty Campbell. She asked me to provide you with this information. The Seal Beach Trailer Park is a low-income housing. About 25 years ago, a man named Hall bought the trailer park for $2.9 million. Immediately raised the rent space by 1,000% and told everyone to get out, take your trailers with you, which was impossible as many of the people had built homes around their trailers and had mortgages on them. These folks came to the city of Seal Beach and asked for help. A nonprofit company was found to purchase and manage the park, and bond funding was secured, and the trailer park was purchased for $6.9 million. Then Seal Beach discovered that one of their council members was working for the man who had the property for sale, which was a glaring conflict of interest. He was using his position to get some financial information that enhanced Hall's bargaining position and voting on this issue multiple times when it came before the city council. A complaint was filed with the FPPC, and the minutes of the council meeting were evidence of wrongdoing, and there was a trial. The IRS and Franchise Tax Board was also there, as the council member had not reported any of his income. The councilman was found guilty of a felony and paid a hefty fine, and the judge barred him for life forever holding any elected office. Ms. Doby, you stated on your Facebook page that you received campaign assistance from K&B.
Ms. Churchill, you're not going to address any particular council person up there?
I'm addressing you.
Well, you referenced her by name, so I'm not going to have that. All right, so if
So
you
what
wanna
would you like me to do?
Huh?
What would you like me to do?
Take out any references to any individual council persons.
There's no other further reference.
What's that?
There's no further reference. Would you like me to proceed or would you like me to quit? I will follow whatever your directions are.
You know, I'm going to ask you to stop.
Okay, thank you.
Maggie Marchese.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie, and I'm a Los Alamitos resident, and I'm here to speak in support of the project. I encourage you all to move this project along. I think we've done a lot as a city. You all have been amazing listening to all this feedback over and over again, and you've bent over backwards. And thank you. And because, a lot of that, feedback that we received, the project is not as big as it could be. We still have about 300, more units to build. So, so thank you for, accommodating a lot of the concerns that have been raised. But, so now here we are, and I'd love to see the project just move forward and you guys just move it along. And the other thing, and I want to say this for any council person who is considering not moving this along, is that you're here to represent Los Alamitos residents. Los Alamitos. And most of the Los Alamitos residents are not here. They're home, they're taking care of their kids. Most of them live here, we found out today, or at least half live here in Midtown, our new Midtown, right? So I'm asking you and reminding you that you represent us. And there's no one else. There's no other city council in the area that represents Los Alamitos residents. So remember that when you're voting today. And so please take care of your constituents, and thank you all for doing so much to accommodate the needs and the concerns of our neighbors. Thank you.
Ashley Nichols.
Evening, Matt and distinguished council members. My name is Ashley Nichols and I live in the Highlands neighbourhood of Los Alamitos. As a resident of Los Alamitos, I'm here again this evening to reiterate my support for the Lamson Park Place housing project. As I've stated in previous meetings, I have observed that over the past decade or so, the amount of new housing units being built in Los Alamitos has been very low when compared to other communities around us like Cyprus. Approving the Lamson Park Place project will help to make our city proactive in solving the current housing crisis. From the last meeting and what I've seen of the designs, the housing units look to be well thought out and well designed, exactly what this city needs. As previously stated, our city needs this project. We need opportunities for housing for our adult children starting out in life, our families, and for those financially less fortunate who are the key to the fabric of our society. I'm speaking about the restaurant worker, the grocery store clerk, the teacher, police officer. Most of these jobs do not make an income that allows them to afford the rents being charged today for new apartment units in our city. The affordable units being provided with this project provide an opportunity for people who hold these jobs to be able to afford to live and work in our city in a brand new state-of-the-art apartment community, something they can feel proud about. The positive flow-on effects will be significant to the community, so I encourage you to do the right thing, cast a vote based upon what is best for the city and the residents of Los Alamitos. So please vote to approve the Lamson Park Place project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have Frank Marquez.
Good evening, City Council. You guys have been talking about this for several years. You guys have heard from the people that live in that immediate area, all their concerns, the traffic, the kids crossing the street. You know, California is being built. I just came back from Paso Robles. They're building things like this up in that area, all around the farmland up in there. And this is just more of the same, and it needs to happen. The city, I would recommend that you guys, like my wife said, as you move it along, you vote for it and just move it along and get it going, because it's what you should do. You're going to get money for your city. They're going to get more money coming in with the taxes, and there'll be more places for people to stay. Los Alamitos is a wonderful little town. I think this would be good, so keep going, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more cards?
No more cards.
Okay, are there any more speakers? If you could just state your name and if you do have a card.
My name's Ken Bamberg. Thanks for having me. I live in College Park East, right across the street from this project. I grew up in Los Alamitos and have lived in the neighborhood for 45 years. I know firsthand how lucky we are to live here, and I was skeptical about this project when I first heard about it. However, based on what I've learned and what I believe our community needs, I very much support this project. I support it because it represents more affordable housing for everyone, especially the people we want to live nearby. Some of the units are being built for people who need assistance and provide assistance to our community, including teachers, emergency personnel, and military veterans. This leads me to think this new neighborhood is being built by people who are looking to do the right thing for the community by attracting the right type of residents. I see this project as a much-needed solution to support our fast-growing community more than anything else, and it's a huge bonus that it's being built by people who have the right idea in mind. I know there are concerns, especially from my College Park East neighbors, but after hearing from all the veterans at the planning meeting and how excited they were, I felt like it was important to come here tonight and make sure I did everything I could to support them and get this project approved. Thank you for your time.
Do we have anybody else that would like to say any comments?
Thank you, Patty Senecal, College Park East resident. First of all, I concur about the veteran housing, and if I'm reading the project right, only 19 units out of 77 are allocated for veterans. I would make the recommendation you give all 77 units to the veterans for the housing project. My other comment has to do with this. We heard from the project proponent that this is a community, it's a new neighborhood, new children coming to the district. We heard one comment about a neighborhood makes a community. And we've also seen way early on the superintendent supported this project because the amount of students that could be enrolled into Los Al, a benefit, because of the enrollment situation. However, all this talk about community, neighborhood, kids, school, there is no bus stop in this project at all. No space for a bus stop. So the bus stop will be in College Park East. So now we get all your traffic coming in to use our bus stop, which means a lot more cars sitting in our neighborhood idling because nobody with small children lets them go to a bus stop alone. So we have all the traffic now for smaller kids using buses, and then your older kids will be coming across the street. There's no crosswalk, no crossing guard, and no signal. How are those young adults, young children, going to get across the street safely? So I would urge you to get a school bus stop. You are attracting families, you're asking for children to enroll in the schools over here because of we know the quality, but we need a school bus stop that is in this new neighborhood. Parents want to walk their kids to school. There's nothing greater than having the joy of holding your kid's hand and walking them up and seeing them get on a school bus. There's no accommodation for a school bus, so I strongly urge this project must contain the school bus stop on their side of the street so the kids don't cross Lamson and be subject to being injured. So that is my comment there. Thank you.
Any other speakers?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Lisa Landau, and I am the Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Seal Beach. However, I'm here tonight as a resident to talk about my concerns and not in an official capacity. I am here this evening to ask for fair and just mitigation for the impacts this project makes upon its neighbor, Seal Beach. Please notice this project does not provide park space, public space, safety, or its own sewer system. This project requires that Seal Beach pick up the cost of each of those without compensation or even the courtesy of a discussion. If you must approve this tonight, I ask that you, one, add an amendment to the approval that the Los Alamitos Rossmore Sewer District be responsible for all project sewage, since the project already has a will serve letter from your sewer district. Two, allocate within this amendment the $3 million in Quimby fees be paid to the city of Seal Beach to manage and upkeep the parks, since the project designates 2 of our parks to serve the Los Alamitos development. Add a bus stop at the project site for the Los Alamitos children to use. The public safety of the children of this project has been disregarded, as again, Seal Beach is the site given for the school bus pickup and drop-off for these students without a signal, a crossing guard, or crosswalk. Tonight, please remedy these deficiencies within your approval of the FEIR and Los Alamitos development, or continue the approval until meaningful agreements can be arranged with the city of Seal Beach. Thank you.
Any other speakers?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Chris Magdosku. I'm a licensed civil engineer. I represent a firm that is in Orange County. Our firm is a part of the BIA, so much like Adam Wood said tonight, we support this project here in Los Alamitos, and it's going to be good for the community. In the past, I worked close to 20 years in city government, and I know what it's like to be up here, speaking in a different capacity, but I also know what it's like to be in your shoes. So I recommend that you approve this, given the nature of the project and how it meets the standards. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Catherine Showalter, resident of Seal Beach and chair of the Environmental Quality Control Board. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I offer 4 comments regarding responses received from the City of Los Alamitos regarding the EQCB, the Environmental Quality Control Board letter on the Lamson Project final EIR. Unfortunately, there is still an underlying assumption that the City of Seal Beach will accommodate the impacts of that project. Number 1, vehicle miles traveled. I'm pleased with the additional language stating that the Homeowners Association will be required to create an online community forum where future residents can coordinate ride sharing. Thank you. Number 2, transit service. Once the development is at or near completion, the Orange County Transportation Authority should be asked to survey residents in the area to determine if there is an interest in transit service. By that time, the lower income residents would be identified and could speak for themselves. Transit alternatives could potentially lessen the need for car ownership and the resulting vehicle miles traveled. Although there is insufficient ridership demand currently, and OCTA cannot predict future ridership trends, this survey effort should not be abandoned. If the project is going to take 39 months to build, then the request to OCTA should be on the calendar at 36 months from the onset of the development. Number 3, damage on Lamson from heavy-duty trucks and construction equipment. The developer admits that heavy-duty trucks will be used for building construction activities over approximately 33 months. That is not typical wear and tear, and the repair and maintenance costs should not be the responsibility of Seal Beach. No doubt there are funding sources that might be available as listed in the response, but writing the proposals to request those funds should not fall on the shoulders of staff or consultants hired by the City of Seal Beach. That responsibility and cost belongs to the City of Los Alamitos, with direct payments to Seal Beach legally stipulated in writing. Number 4, park and ride lot. Unfortunately, there's a lack of understanding of the potential for keeping the park and ride lot in the development as an asset. Among other uses, it could be a safe school bus stop within walking distance from students' homes. This accommodation would prevent children from crossing Lamson to and from the bus stop at Heather Park before and after school. It is more than disappointing that the size of the Lamson project has not been scaled back in spite of the concerns and serious issues raised by the Seal Beach community. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Others, okay.
Shelley Sestarsik, College Park East. I have spoken before to the Planning Commission, and I just had a few additional points. I still think some of this is still premature and incomplete. I haven't seen any approvals for items that affect the Joint Forces Training Base property. And I'm happy to see that there's a will-serve letter from the Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District, so that takes strain off of Seal Beach. I thank the people who have spoken in regard to a school bus and safe crossing of Lamson, even though if you go in the middle of the day, there appears very quiet. It's at drive time when everyone's going to work, going to school, and back. It's very busy. And there's a lot of running of lights and things. The EIR states that there were 5 accidents over 5 years. Seal Beach PD records tally up to 46 accidents in 8 years, which is every other month instead of 1 per year. Please know that we do have, those of us who live there do have very much safety concerns when it comes to children crossing. And this is considering that it's going to be your residents who are mostly crossing the street to come to the park, crossing the street to come to the school bus, crossing the street maybe to have your car over there. And also AYSO, which the final EIR says that they will be parking in our neighborhood to attend AYSO games, presumably because the parking lot's going to be filled with project residents. So we're concerned not just for our safety, egressing, ingressing, but yours also. So I would appreciate attention to those matters. Also, when it comes to roadway damage, I don't know that that's been addressed, but 39 months of construction is a very long time. We've gone through longer than that from the freeway project on Lamson, and if there's any kind of damage, I would like to have an agreement so that that is repaired. Also, the traffic report said that just a right turn on the middle lane is going to solve that. But with 39 months of construction, I'm not sure what will be done during that traffic because of the trucks and the entrance. I can't see how that won't affect our traffic during that time. So I think that's all I have to add tonight, and thank you for your consideration.
Any other speakers? Okay, we will close the public comments, and I'll open it up to my colleagues. Do you guys have any questions?
I got one. I don't remember who it's for. I think it might be you, sir, on the other side of Tom Oliver. You said a light not warranted at this time. So does that mean that, is that for right now before the residents get there? Or is it something that can be reconsidered once everybody has moved in? Because I just remember the light that sticks out in my mind as like a point of contention, maybe like a year or so ago when all of this really started getting more robust. So is it right now that a light doesn't need to be considered because people aren't there yet? Or is it later? Or is there a timeline? Is there a pause button?
No, for a traffic signal to be installed, it has to meet signal warrants, meaning there has to be enough turning movements and traffic to warrant that traffic signal. So the analysis considered with the project. So even with the project, it does not meet signal warrants to require traffic signal. However, over time, in the future, we don't know, what the future holds, and traffic, traffic patterns are changing. So it's just like any other intersection in the city. At some point, it may meet warrants, and then at that time, a signal would be installed. But based on the analysis with this project and cumulative development, it does not meet signal warrants for a traffic signal at that intersection.
May I elaborate, council member? So please recall that the street, Lamson Street, is not in the jurisdiction of Los Alamitos. It belongs to the city of Seal Beach. So you are correct that at the beginning of this project, it was proposed to put a traffic signal in there, but like Mr. Halligan stated, the study did not warrant it. So the city of Seal Beach went to the developers and said that they do not require the installation of a traffic signal there.
Is that documented anywhere in here?
Yes, that analysis is in the EIR and in the final EIR in the appendix as well.
That the city of Seal Beach stated we do not want a traffic signal?
Right, it's part of the response in the response to comments document. So that was coordinated with Seal Beach.
Thank you. Do we know in the packet, anyone know where that's at? I think I missed that. I asked, we have a council member from Seal Beach who stated the obvious, so I'd like to see where in the packet states that.
Tom's going to go grab that, and but we I'm not sure what appendix appendix it's in, but we can answer that shortly.
Okay, so but it's in the packet that we were provided.
Correct. Yeah. As you know, it's a large packet, so
Yeah.
we can get that answer to you specifically where it is. Correct.
I had a couple questions. Did OCFA get a chance to review and provide comments for this project?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I talked to Chief Covey last week, and he did state that not only did his team review the project site, but also he himself did review the project as well. And basically, they did provide comments, but overall, they do think they don't have any major concerns with the project site. But we do have an OCFA gentleman here, and I don't know if he would like to chime in.
I can just add to that the project has passed the OCFA's plan review process. Everything that has been submitted has been approved so far.
Great, thank you. Has staff contacted the base directly about this project? We've heard a lot of comments saying that the base doesn't know anything about this project. They haven't been informed. So what's our communication with the base?
No, we have spoken directly to the base commander, and he assured me that much like any project that takes place outside of the four walls of the base, they remain neutral on all development projects.
Okay. With regards to the housing units per acre, is this project on the high end or the low end of what the zoning allows for the arena?
So, Mr. Noda, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the zoning allows for between 20 and 25 units per acre?
That's correct, the R3 zone.
And I believe that the total count for this is right around 20 units per acre, so it would be towards the lower end of what exactly would be allowed, or the development envelope that the developer could use.
Because according to the state, we were allowed to put all of our housing units on this one property, correct? based on their allocations, not ours.
I think you could get very close.
With regards to the affordable units, we talked about the priorities given to the veterans, people that already live here, and people that work here. Can you confirm that the affordable isn't government subsidized Section 8 housing?
That is correct.
And to rock everybody's world, in Orange County, what qualifies an applicant for affordable housing? What's the income level?
I believe for a family of 4 in Orange County, it is roughly 125,000 or less. So if you make, the 125,000 or less is considered for a family of 4 affordable.
Okay, thank you. Will LaSalle, Rossmore, or Seal Beach residents have to pay any of the infrastructure installations such as water, sewage, electrical, any of the infrastructure cost?
Well, infrastructure costs are borne normally by the developer. So I believe that the Planning Commission also asked for a stipulation within the actual document itself.
Yes, they requested a condition that states that infrastructure such as the sewer, any cost would not be incurred by the city.
Okay, either city or Rossmore or,
Correct. It will be incurred by the applicant.
okay. And then ongoing cost and usage will be paid, obviously, by the residents of that community.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. Thank
I'm
you.
so sorry, could you repeat that last question?
That the ongoing cost and usage will be paid for by the residents of the community.
Of that community.
A couple people mentioned the issue of the school bus stop. Can someone address that?
Yeah, so I think the best to answer that would be the applicant. So if the applicant would like to come forward to address that.
So as previously mentioned, we had, in response to quite a bit of commentary from residents in the area, proposed a traffic signal at the main entrance to our project, mainly for traffic and car traffic, not necessarily for pedestrian or for kids crossing the street. And as a result of the conclusions from the traffic study not meeting this warrant, which, believe me, doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. I'm sure that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to others, but that's the technical analysis that has to be used, and it creates some sort of liability if a city like Seal Beach were to override that, is my understanding. But in terms of safe passage for students, the Rose traffic signal that currently exists is fully signalized, fully ADA compliant. The residents in this community are fully aware of that. And the notion that people, when Rose dives directly into the eastern edge of our site, that residents who want to walk their kid to school and have that moment, which I agree, my kids did the same thing. We live in Old Town. We had to have our kids cross Pacific Coast Highway to go over and catch the bus and to go over to McAuliffe. They have to cross PCH at either 5th, Main Street, or 12th Street. No different here. And they can very safely cross at Rose Street, go across to the north side of the street, walk along the existing sidewalk, and go to Heather Street and catch the bus. Now, if the wear and tear of their little rubber-soled shoes is something that is, of concern to catch the bus over there, I don't know how to solve for that. But there's a fully safe, signalized location already existing at Rose for people to cross the street to go pick up the bus over there.
I'm curious, maybe, oh, sorry, just to piggyback on Mr. Voigt's question, what is the reason why the bus stop is is on the south side of the street versus the north side of the street up against the development?
There's not room for it there. There's not a safe location for the bus to be able to stop on Lamson, nor to cut inside of our property and pick it up. So there's a very safe crossing available to residents, and they catch it over across Heather Street.
Okay, and so would the school bus, I'm assuming, come down, south, South Steel Beach Boulevard, left onto Lamson, and then what would be the rest of the school bus route?
It's not going to be altered from its current route. So there's a current bus stop that already services the College Park East residents and residents of Parkwood who choose to walk across the street to catch that bus stop. That route is not being proposed to change at all.
Okay, and what is that route? I'm just not familiar with it.
I'm not sure either, but it's an existing bus route that they don't seem to have any issues with, other than that kids from our location are going to come over there and utilize it.
Okay. Do you know if the entrance to Parkwood, which is Los Al, is there a U-turn there, do you know?
I'm not sure how people come out of Parkwood. I'm not concerned with that development, obviously, in terms of how their ingress or egress is
Not
accessed.
Parkwood, but the school bus. So they'll get picked up on the College Park East side, and the school bus is, I'm assuming, headed away towards Garden Grove. Does
I'm not
anyone
sure
know
what the bus route is. I can only tell you that there's a safe passage at Rose, and the kids can walk across the street extremely safely, which is the concern that's been raised. And I realize it's just kind of textbook NIMBYism, but there's an extremely safe passage at Rose where people can cross the street and their kids can pick up the bus at Heather. That's what I do know.
Does anyone know the school bus route? So when it picks up the students on Lamson, how does the bus get back to the schools? Does anyone here know?
So council member, I do not know the exact school bus route on Lamson.
No one knows.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I believe that they come out and take a left. I mean, they'll go in one street, there's like 5 different streets you can go in. So you can either go in at Tulip and come out on Rose, they'll usually pull around so that they're coming out of the street towards Lamson, and then they'll take a left towards the Los Alamitos.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. Mr. Halligan, you had mentioned that the project is subject to connection and service fees for the sewer. You said there were 2 potential options. What are those 2 potential options?
One would be the city of Seal Beach, which currently serves the site, and the other one would be the Los Al Rossmore district.
And you've already concluded for both of them to be viable options?
The sewer studies say both options are viable because it's already being served by Seal Beach. The Los Al would require a new connection, but they provided a will serve letter.
Los Al, so City of Seal Beach also?
I don't believe the city of Seal Beach has provided a will serve letter, but they are serving the site currently. There's an existing connection there.
So would that be considered viable if the City of Seal Beach hasn't actually provided a will serve letter as Los Alamitos Rossmore Sewer District has?
That's a question for the applicant, but from a CEQA standpoint, there was a sewer study that analyzed the existing sewer connection and the flows, and it's adequate to serve the project.
No, I understand that. It's just that you had indicated that both options were viable. However, it seems like one is further along, but then you're still stating that the City of Seal Beach is actually a viable option. And from what I've heard previously, it doesn't seem as such. Otherwise, the applicant would have received a will serve letter since this has been in process for a few years. Is that correct?
So can I elaborate, council member? So the Lamson project is in the jurisdiction of Los Alamitos. We have a franchise agreement with the Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District to provide sewer services to our city, right? And so currently right now, the project site is being fed through a Seal Beach sewer line, but that's why you received a the will serve letter from Rossmore Los Alamitos, because they are franchised to provide that. So the 2 options would be to either keep the existing infrastructure, but the Rossmore Los Alamitos Sewer District will enter into agreement with the City of Seal Beach, right, with the current one, or they will build their own infrastructure to service that site. So those are the 2 options.
And when are those supposed to be implemented? Because everything seems to be, it will be, it can be, it should be, it's subject to.
So that part is a post entitlement project. So that comes after what we're going on through today. But we did put a condition in the project that states that they cannot proceed with to build a unit until the sewer is resolved.
Okay. The next question again, which is going into the will be, it says the fire master plan will be prepared. When is that scheduled to be prepared? At what?
So I believe that we alluded it to earlier here, and again, I apologize that I missed that on the PowerPoint, but that goes to OCFA, and they have done their review, and they have stamped it as approval.
So even though it says fire master plan will be prepared, it's already been.
Correct.
It's already been completed,
Correct.
and that has been presented to us in the packet?
Correct.
Okay. All right, in regards to public safety, it says project would generate a typical amount of phone calls. What is a typical amount? What is the number for typical? That's very ambiguous.
You have a,
Yeah, it would just be the typical of residential development. So the same number of calls for service as other residential neighborhoods in the city.
Well, this says residential development. So are there other residential developments that are occurring in the city of Los Alamitos?
Well, existing residential neighborhoods.
Okay, because again, it says residential development. So I was wondering,
Well, all housing projects in this city at one point were development.
Okay.
And now they're not. So this one is, and then when it's done, it won't be.
so what
So
would be
it's
the
not going to
typical-
generate any more volume of calls than any other residential area in the city.
So what is the police report currently stating?
We
the
don't
typical?
currently have a per resident call for service that it creates. We don't do that. So every city will monitor the volume of calls that they create, and the number that have been created in the city of Los Alamitos and Seal Beach have both been added in this project. We had to comment on those, but we don't have a number that is an acceptable number of calls for service per resident. That's not a statistic that we would generate.
All right. In regards to the sound attenuation methods, what methods are being implemented for this project?
That's specifically the applicant that we need to address that, but I could tell you in general, when we talk about a building and indoor DBAs, you can do, double pane windows, you put insulation from the, exterior, between exterior, interior wall. You put walls up, walls will deflect sound, landscaping vegetation, whether it's a bush or a tree. So those are several ways to attenuate sound.
And those will be implemented, Mr. Voigt?
Yes, it will. It's a building code requirement, yes.
Okay. And all of those methods or just a few of them? Is there a way that you can detail, like,
That list is pretty comprehensive, but any requirements to meet building code will be met as a matter of getting through inspections for once the project's constructed. So state requirements.
okay, thank you. Also, will the housing units that are affordable housing, will there be anything that will comply with ADA accessibility?
Per building code, it has to. So the
So-
answer is yes.
There's going to be adjustable fixtures, wider walkways, adapted bathrooms?
Yes, so anything to meet ADA, correct. Again, it's a new development, so they have to meet ADA standards, correct.
And how many units will be designated for that?
For ADA specifically?
Yeah, because from my understanding, it's also going to require like adjustable fixtures within the actual unit and also adapted bathrooms. I'm assuming that not all the 77 bathrooms will be ADA accessible. So how many of the 77 units will be ADA accessible, providing those accommodations for individuals with disabilities?
I don't know. I see Mr. Cottle here. He can answer that.
Thank you.
We will have, and I cannot answer specifically with the quantity that will be built out as accessible. We'll meet the state requirements and the local requirements, not only for accessibility, but also for sensory as well. And then all of the units that are on the first floor of the building will be adaptable as well. So those can be converted over to accessible in the future.
Okay, and you're saying that you don't have the actual quantitative number in regards to state or local?
I don't have the percentage right now committed to memory. I could look it up in a few minutes and respond back to that, but it's a certain percentage of the units that are actually built out as ADA accessible, and then everything else that's on the ground floor, so approximately a third of the units would have the ability in the future to convert over to accessible.
Yeah, if you could, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Also, I noticed in the original DEIR, the section under hazards and hazard materials, there was a second paragraph that's since been removed in the final EIR, which is regarding the 11 soil borings. Is something been changed, or why was that amended or removed from the final EIR?
Can you repeat the question? Why was something removed?
Sure. In the DEIR section 4.8, hazards and hazards materials, the second paragraph, there was a disclosure regarding 11 soil borings conducted to test soil contamination. However, in the final EIR, that disclosure is no longer referenced. So I want to find out, why was that removed? What was the amendment in regards to the 11 soil borings?
Good evening, Nicole Morris, TMB Planning. We prepared the EIR.
Good evening.
I don't have record of us removing that. So is there a page reference?
Sure.
We did add language in response to comments on page 5-14 of the final EIR.
So in the draft EIR, on page 4.8-5, it discussed in the second paragraph a total of 11 soil borings, B1 through B11, were conducted at the project site to a maximum depth of 15 BGS. However, when you review the final EIR, page 5-14, there's an omission. There's no reference to the 11 soil borings, even though it discussed the preparation of the project site dated September 22nd, based on a geographical survey and soil sampling conducted on August 16th, 2022.
So page 5-14 of the final EIR is clarifications and revisions. So that's the underlying text is adding additional text to respond to comments, but there's no strikeout text. So it's not removing any reference to boring samples.
Then could you please provide the page number where I can go ahead and reference that, because I didn't see that in the final EIR.
Page 5-14.
No, you mentioned that it wasn't an omission of the 11 soil borings, even though it's not referenced in this final EIR, because these are 2 additional paragraphs that's been added. So where would I be able to locate the reference in the final EIR about the 11 soil borings, even though it was referenced in the original DEIR?
The draft EIR stays, the analysis in the draft EIR is unchanged. So the language in there is correct. We didn't make an edit to that.
And that's what I'm saying. So if the DEIR is correct, where it referenced 11 soil borings,
Yeah.
where in the final EIR can I find the reference to the 11 soil borings?
The final EIR that you have in front of you responds to public comment and then provides a summary of edits to the draft EIR. So if there were no edits in the draft EIR, that means that the analysis in the draft EIR it's the same. So there's no removal of that text.
Okay, so then where would I find the text?
There's
In the draft.
The draft-
So
in the
it's
draft.
saying that the draft and the final EIR are the same.
except that the final EIR adds additional 2 paragraphs to the hazard section.
In regards to the mercury containing products at the existing building?
Correct.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Next thing I had, I was reviewing the Seal Beach Municipal Code. In regards to Code Section 8.10.1208, it says that Lamson Avenue is not designated as a truck route, and that heavy trucks over 3 tons cannot be transported on that Lamson Avenue. So are there alternative truck routes that will be identified for use? Or will all the construction trucks and heavy trucks be less than 3 tons transporting the materials?
I can respond to that. My colleague here is thumbing through a packet that can get us the actual Muni Code citation, but that prohibition also includes exceptions. So there are exceptions to that prohibition based on temporary use of construction and delivery vehicles that would permit construction travel and truck travel on Lamson to further this project.
And this would be an exception?
Yes.
And where would I find that information in regards to this is specifically an exception to go ahead and transport heavy materials over 3 tons on Lamson Avenue?
It's actually in the packet that was provided for you on the dais.
Okay, what page?
I'm looking for it currently.
While you're looking for that, Mr. Oliver, I just wanted to follow up. Were you able to find out what page that letter from Seal Beach is?
That was D3. The City of Seal Beach letter, comment letter D3 says that a signal is not warranted.
Thank you.
Page 609 and 610.
Okay, I do have a citation available for you. So the prohibition with respect to truck routes is section 8.10.120 of the Seal Beach Municipal Code. The prohibition is included in subsection B, entitled prohibition, and then there are exemptions listed under subsection C.
And can you read those off for me, please?
It would be C2, I believe, is applicable to this project, which reads: a commercial vehicle coming from an unrestricted street having ingress and egress by direct route to and from a restricted street when necessary for the purpose of making pickups or deliveries of goods, wares, and merchandise from or to any building or structure located on the restricted street, or for the purpose of delivering materials to be used in the actual and bona fide repair, alteration, remodeling, or construction of any building or structure upon the restricted street for which a building permit has previously been obtained.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I have, and I'm going to repeat this because maybe some people aren't aware, I have over 20 years of experience in asset management. I'm not against development. I never have been. The issues that I am bringing forth and the questions that I have is not only just to service the city of Los Alamitos, but Seal Beach, because they are our neighbors. We share the same roads. Our kids go to the same schools. So everything that impacts them, it will impact us because their kids will also attend our schools. I know a lot of you shop at Target, Home Goods, which is in the city of Seal Beach. And we attend several events in Rossmore. So it's just that there's a lot of concerns that have been raised by the community members, business leaders in regards to this project. So asking these questions just means that we're trying to get all the answers necessary for not only city council, but the residents and community members, so that we can all feel comfortable with this in the next 10 to 20 years when our kids or grandkids are still living here. And they don't have to come back and see that we didn't do what we were supposed to do to make sure that they were safe. I have no money in this development. I haven't received any benefits, incentives, any kind of coercion from support from developers. I am here not only as a council member, but as a resident of this city. And also because I care about all the community members within our city as well as Seal Beach. So coming here and saying that it doesn't matter, it does. It matters to what impacts Seal Beach, what impacts us. And the issues that have been brought up, they are concerning. I mean, no bus stop to accommodate the potential influx of students. There hasn't been a consistent collaboration with the city of Seal Beach despite the significant impact this project would have on them. There is just a lot of different issues, even the FEIR about the lease agreement that is set to expire on December 21st, 2028 between the Secretary of the Army and the city of Seal Beach as it relates to Arbor Park and how it may impact the proposed easement. The exclusion of these key elements is very concerning. And all I want are just the answers. And tonight I've been provided several of the responses that I need. But there are still other concerns that I hope will be implemented and placed in writing so that this development will proceed for the safety of the kids, the safety of the families of both communities of Seal Beach as well as Los Alamitos. And that we continue to thrive, that we have been as two jurisdictions that work together with the law enforcement, with Westcom, because we do. We all work together for that, and we need to, because our kids attend each of these schools. And so I'm hoping that a lot of these concerns will be implemented and the responses will be completed as is stated by Mr. Voigt and the planning and the development company. Because I know that we have to do these for arenas. I'm gonna tell the word, it sucks. It really sucks. And I know it's something that we have to do, and I'm hoping changes in the law, which are coming out soon, will make a difference for us. But so far, all I can say is I approve this development. As long as all of the things that you say that you will put into writing and that you will mitigate, and it will not impact the residents of Seal Beach, because like I said, they're in this, we're all family in this, and that there will be significant resolutions to these concerns. And that's it.
Any other questions or comments from council?
I have a couple of questions about the accidents. Someone provided public comment earlier, and there was quite a discrepancy between 5 accidents on the street or 45. I'm curious what the source was for the applicant's number of 5 versus the public comment of 40 some. Okay, Steel Beach Police Department provided 40 plus accidents. The applicant, where did the 5?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Jose Alere. I'm a registered traffic engineer in the state of California, and I work for Urban Crossroads. We did a lot of traffic analysis for this project. I don't have the number off the top of my head, and I can look it up. But what I can tell you is we looked at Lamson as a whole. We pulled information from the SWITR's database, which is a state database that agencies report accidents to. And then we started calculating the averages, which was quoted earlier, that it was below some of the averages. Where the number of 5 and 45 came from and other sources, I don't know. Those sources, agencies all report to the SWITR's database, and that's where we got our information. I hope that helps. I can get you the number, I just don't know it off the top of my head.
So you're saying that the City of Seal Beach, the police department provides their reports to what you're referring, SWITR's? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
Yes, that perhaps our
SWITR's?
police chief can
Yeah, it's a system that, the statewide system where we report traffic collisions to.
Is it possible your figure is inaccurate?
The SWITR system is usually a few months behind, like today's date, for example. And we did our analysis earlier this year. Prior to this meeting, just last week, I went back and looked at the accident history again, and nothing significant popped out at us that we would come to you and say, we need to look at this further. So the averages, remain the same. Also, we normally look back 3 years. We went back 5 years and looked, and we didn't see any patterns, anything that was concerning. And then again, when we calculate the national averages, it was below the averages, which is a good thing. You know, it's if they were high, we would have then documented all of that for you.
If the mayor of Seal Beach is correct and your figure of 5 is incorrect, how would that affect your proposal?
Well, our number wasn't 5. Again, we looked at Lamson at several locations. We looked at Rose, Heather, we went all the way down to Seal Beach. We looked at the whole road, and it was more than 5. Again, I can get that for you, I don't know it, but we looked at the whole. So there could be 5 at one location,
Okay.
There could be.
So there
and-
could
and we
be
calculated
45
that,
on
but-
Lamson from one signal to the next signal.
Pardon me?
So there could be 45. We might be looking at apples or oranges. You're looking at one signal incident versus she brought forth, a mile or a half mile.
Well, I don't know the limits of what this quote was referencing. I'll start with that. We looked at Lamson. There were more than 5 accidents along the entire route. But when you start looking and calculating based on the location, how many are there, say it's at a signal, that didn't raise any concerns to us based on the national average of accidents. Had it done that, we would have dug in quite a bit further. What's causing it? What type of accident is it? And then how is it resolved? And we would have provided recommendations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On the letter 609 in the packet that you referenced, I had the question earlier that Seal Beach states that it didn't need a signal. There are a few suggestions, and I'd like to read those and ask if those were implemented or not. Let's see. We suggest the DIR disclose that should the applicant pursue a traffic signal, it must be applied for, approved, and permitted by the city of Seal Beach. Did the applicant agree to that?
Well, it's, that intersection is in the city of Seal Beach, so they would, there's no way to install a traffic signal without Seal Beach's approval.
Is there language that in the application agreeing to their letter here? This is number one.
It's part of the, so there are responses to each one of Seal Beach's comments.
Okay, so that was a yes, basically. If the signal becomes necessary, at that time, the developer would absorb the cost.
Not necessarily. It'd have to, because there's cumulative development going on, it wouldn't be solely their responsibility.
Talk about that a little bit.
So the analysis was done, with this project and with all cumulative development that is known at this time, the traffic volumes in the future would not meet signal warrants to require installation of a traffic signal. So, but when a traffic signal is required, it's installed on a fair share and funded on a fair share basis. Potentially, if
And when you say fair share, who's the players?
So let me see if I can
cumulative development.
Yeah, if I can understand. So
Because the city of Seal Beach is making it very clear here that they're asking the applicant to apply, approve, and permit this through the city of
So-
Seal Beach. I'm looking for, are they willing to pay for that?
So currently, right now, like we stated, that the project sites does not warrant a signal. Okay? If there is a process, and I believe Bill is attaining to, if there's other development that occurs on in the city, right, then that development will apply through the city of Seal Beach to install that traffic signal.
So the applicant tonight is not responsible financially for a future signal?
Correct.
It goes on to say, this is still number one of project description. The City of Seal Beach letter says, we further recommend mitigation measures to be included to fund the capital and maintenance costs, of this street. Someone had mentioned it earlier, the use of the street for this development. Is there somewhere in the application that states that they will contribute to the ongoing maintenance of the street that is not within our jurisdiction?
So that, again, the street belongs to the city of Seal Beach, so that is an applicant and the city of Seal Beach's conversation. That would not be in our document because our document is a Los Alamitos-based document.
Do we have anything from the applicant stating that they agreed to this letter here provided from our neighboring city?
Would the applicant like to address that?
So I guess I'm just going to speak more generally before I answer your question specifically, and that is to identify that there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that there has not been acknowledgement by us or the city of Los Alamitos with respect to impacts on the city of Seal Beach, that there's been zero engagement with the city of Seal Beach, and there have been, meetings that I've had with Mayor Sestarsik, 3 of them, from the very beginning of this project. We sat down and met with her in Heather Park 3.5 years ago, out of courtesy and respect. And from that time, as this plan has matured its way through, we've had meetings, correspondence, we've had our sewer plans, our hydrology plans, WQMP plans, reviewed by the city of Seal Beach and their outside plan checkers. We've had regular meetings and discussions about making voluntary contributions to recognize things like wear and tear on streets, Councilwoman Hibbert, to answer your question specifically, and other things that we have offered as a voluntary item that we're not required to do. But as a resident of Seal Beach and a member of this community and somebody who does care deeply about that relationship, we've gone well above and beyond. And the idea that has been continually mentioned, that there's been zero respect for that, is just patently false. And in addition to the voluntary contributions that we have already suggested, there are required sewer connection fees in the event that the project was to continue to connect to the Seal Beach sewer infrastructure the way that the office building currently does, that the city of Seal Beach would collect $1.2 million in sewer connection fees. That is a requirement based on their sewer permitting process. They would, in addition to that, receive the ongoing recurring revenue associated with providing sewer service to the residents. It's my understanding that they're in the midst of a fairly painful rate increase for water and sewer that would only seemingly benefit the entire community by having another 246 residents to help contribute to that. So the idea that there's not a financial benefit to Seal Beach, that there's not respect, that there hasn't been engagement, is just patently false.
Thank you. My next question has to do with the northern border of the Joint Forces Training Base. I've read some language, I don't have the exact page in front of me, but something about, like 10 feet or 15 feet in easement. And I was looking for a document from either the Joint Forces Training Base, the National Guard, the federal government, that states that what's being proposed here, that it's been agreed to. An easement particularly. Can anyone direct me to that?
So to answer, I believe if I understand your question correctly, the document you're looking for would be a survey, a site survey, right? And so as part of the applicant, and I believe it's in the packages, there's a survey map, track map in the packet, right? And so yes, hopefully I can clarify this for you, but if you go out to the site right now and specifically stand on Arbor Park, there's a fence line between, a chain link fence between Arbor Park and this property, the applicant's property. What people don't know that currently right now, there's approximately 10 feet of Arbor Park that actually belongs to the applicant. Okay, so that fence line currently, that chain link fence that I alluded to, is actually property of the applicant. It's not property of the military base. And so as part of this project, the applicant is willing to give that 10-foot easement to the park itself to, again, contribute to the parking and currently what is there. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I was reading it as though it belonged to the base, but it belongs to the applicant already, and they're going to be giving it back to the park or letting the park use it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add, the easement is shown on the tentative tract map. You'll see on the north border, there's a 10-foot easement.
Which currently belongs to the applicant, though.
Correct.
Thank you.
It's part of the project.
That's also memorialized in condition of approval number 14. It requires that easement to be perfected prior to a certificate of occupancy being issued for the project.
Okay. And so right now there's a lease kind of how the base has a lease with the baseball field, that's ongoing. On the south side, the base has a lease with the park that they're not going to be renewing. Are we taking that into consideration? I think it's 2028.
When you're saying, are we taking that into consideration, are you saying that is the city of Los Alamitos taking into consideration taking over that lease? Is that your question?
Not necessarily taking over that lease, but just the use of that land, or are we aware of that? Is the city of Los Alamitos aware that that the base is not renewing that lease?
So we are aware that that lease agreement between the base and the city of Seal Beach expires in 2028. We do not know what the base's plan is after 2028.
They're taking the property back.
The base?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, no worries. Wanted to see
Okay.
if we knew that. Glad we do.
I would say that if, and again, the city manager can stop me, but if the base offered that park to the city of Los Alamitos, we would take that park.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just following up with my inquiry regarding the number percentage of ADA. If you were able to find that out yet, thank you.
Thank you for asking again. It is a 15% mobility, which would be fully accessible for, say, if somebody was in a wheelchair to pull underneath the sink and the other features that go with that. And then there's also a requirement that we build in within our communities of a 10% sensory requirement, which would be enhanced flashing strobes in lieu of a doorbell and other sensory items that way. So that would be 8 units that would be built out with that feature.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate that information.
There were a couple people that came and brought up the issue of the affordable housing 77, 25%, which are receiving preference for veterans. I'd like to request that to be 100%. We're the home of the Joint Forces Training Base, and the American Legion is here. Is the applicant opposed to that?
That's not necessarily something we would be opposed to, including and incorporating into the development. I think we were trying to balance out the specific community, given the fact that it's been approximately 30 years since affordable housing's been constructed in town, in balancing not only having a veteran's preference and serving that particular component of the community, but also balancing it from an economic development standpoint and the live work standpoint for folks that are outside our military community as well. And while we respect having a 100% share of a veteran's preference, I think again to say that that's something we're open to, but I think that's something that maybe we would defer back to City Council on what you guys would like to see with us servicing, say, other members of the community in a preferential way that's not just entirely tied to the veterans community, but we would defer that to City Council.
So you would be open to potentially increasing that, maybe not 100, or potentially increasing?
That would be correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if I could provide a little bit more background on that one, just to help you consider that issue. So there is a 25% veteran preference included in the conditions of approval as drafted. But as a secondary issue here, there's a requirement that there's just a local preference in general. So you have the 25% benefiting veterans, but you have the remainder of the affordable units where preference would be given to individuals who either reside within the city or work within the community. So it's 2 consideration points to evaluate there.
So I have a clarifying question on Sweeters. Okay. So I actually found the collision section because I knew that I'd seen it at least once, and it's not 5 accidents. It's more like 19. I have the exact number because, as the gentleman pointed out, I don't know where he went, friend in the back, they are by intersection. So what my question is there a difference in reporting an accident versus a collision? Because the verbiage utilized here is collision with a breakdown of what the collision looks like typically, but is there a differentiation in the wording, or is it the same.
I'm sorry, are you asking about the collision type, whether it's a broadside, rear end, is that what you mean?
So some people are calling them accidents, and there was a number presented as accidents, but in the report, it's labeled collisions. So I'm wondering if that might have been where the differentiation was coming in some of the reporting numbers, like maybe it's called something else. But the number's 19.
Yeah, thank you
For
for
all
looking
of,
up my number.
lamps.
But no, once it's in the Switters database, I mean, again, I'll let the police chief answer, call it what you call it. They're all reported and included in there, and that's where we pull our information from. Like I said, I don't know the source limits, where this other number came from. I focused on Lamson, right where we're discussing here, and that's the number that came up. And when I look back that many years, the averages, and those are the published results that you have there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. No more questions, comments from the council? So, can I get a first and a second for the item?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
And I believe we need a roll call vote.
And
Yeah.
Mayor, I'm sorry, if I could, just for sake of clarification, the motion is to approve staff's recommendation with no modifications
Correct.
to conditions.
all four.
Thank you.
I can't support that motion. There's too many loose ends as presented today.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink, seconded by Councilmember Doby, to approve staff's recommendation of adoption of the 4 resolutions as listed on the staff report and the agenda face sheet. I'll do a roll call vote. Mayor Nafolda?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink?
Aye.
Councilmember Doby?
Yes.
Councilmember Hibbard?
No.
Councilmember Murphy?
I'm going to abstain just because there are a lot of ifs and will be's and considerations. And I just believe that this project has had enough time where there shouldn't be any potential of will be's and things. But at the same time, I support the development and the considerations that are being made for ADA accessibility as well as sound attenuation methods. So right now, I just abstain.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item number 14, council announcements. Just gonna start on my right with Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink.
Do I sign it or does the CM sign it?
All right, for those of you diehards that want to know what I've been doing. Oop.
Okay.
Well, at least staff didn't leave. So I attended the Senior Advisory Advocate Committee. We reviewed the survey results that were sent out for senior services, senior issues, and some of the things that most affect them. It talked about transportation. It talked about socialization, education on various issues, and then also there are about 12% of our seniors that feel like they have food insecurities. So we want to make sure that those are all addressed. It was a very informative meeting that was presented by the consultants. We have 50% of our residents that make that senior mark, now that we lowered it to 50. I attended the trunk or treat, which once again, Park and Rec absolutely outdid themselves. I love the new layout. There just seemed to be a lot of open room. The kids were having a blast. We had the foundation was doing the beverage garden with the Dodger game on, which was a hot ticket, which made that nice. And the kids just had a blast. There was just so much to do. So kudos once again to Park and Rec for the memories. I did attend a virtual meeting from the National Council on Aging on Senior Center. It was a Senior Center peer networking group, and it was just basically to listen to ideas of what other senior centers around the country are doing and some of their issues and some of their successes, and just trying to gather information more than anything. Last week I was able to give a tour to a 5th grade Girl Scout troop from Hopkinton for their democracy badge. I put them all up here in different positions and gave them their jobs, and they enjoyed that, asked a lot of questions, and hopefully they're getting a little bit more educated about our democracy. Regarding OCFA, last month we showed you the video of the one hand crew firefighter that was severely injured and was flown back to Colorado to start his rehab. Basically, the prognosis at the beginning was he was never to walk again. Last month, I showed you the video where he was walking in the hospital. This last weekend, he was released from the hospital. He flew home and walked off the airplane on his own at Orange County Airport. That is 6 weeks. He was told he was never going to walk again, and now he is on his own walking and continuing his recovery, but it's always nice to have him home. We will be losing 9 board members in December based on election results and people terming out. So those various cities are appointing their new board members, and we'll get them onboarded in January and off to the races. I was also appointed to an ad hoc committee to write the RFP response to the county for countywide ambulance services. We're going to be trying something a little bit different. We are going to, as OCFA, propose with an ambulance company to do a public-private partnership to provide countywide services, to streamline it, to make it more efficient, rather than each city has their own ambulance service that they contract with, or they contract with the county. So that's going to be, we'll be working on that actually starting tomorrow to get that ready to go to submit to the county, hopefully for a successful award. And I think that's it. I'm done.
Sorry about that. Councilmember Murphy.
Yes, I attended the annual State of the OC Sanitation event with the Board of Directors and General Manager in Fountain Valley. They just discussed our county's ongoing efforts to promote sustainability, improve waste management, and just keep Orange County clean, poop-free, all the best of it. Additionally, I attended the trunk or treat. As always, just incredible, and it just continues to just grow in how much is being presented there. It's just really just an amazing event. I wish my kids were still young again, where they like to participate in a company with me. My son did come, but I guess I was his Uber ride because he left me at the front. But just an amazing job. You guys always just do just an extraordinary job, so thank you. I also attended the first CASA Youth Shelter Bright Future Scholarship Luncheon at the Pacific Club in Newport Beach. One of the highlights was hearing from Brett Sagita. He was an alum and scholar who shared his journey from CASA Youth Shelter to UC Irvine, and he spoke about his dream about becoming a physician and giving back to his community. So it's just, thank you, Jessica, for the invitation. I really appreciate it. Other than that, that's it. So thank you.
Councilmember Hibbert.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I missed last month's meeting. I was out sick, so it's nice to be back this evening. For the past, I would say about 60 days, I've been walking the Rossmore Highlands since I got elected 2 years ago. I dedicate a portion of each month to going door to door and just introducing myself to residents and asking if there's anything that I could do for them. So for the last 2 months, I've been in the Rossmore Highlands, going door to door and asking my neighbors if there's anything I can do for them. I get real comments, I get raw comments, which I appreciate, fits my personality really well. Oftentimes, what is the biggest concern for the residents in the Highlands has nothing to do with what we talk about here in the meetings. For the last 2 years, I've tried to encourage residents to come to the meetings, and they say they're boring. Come, let your voice be heard. No, because if something happens, I'm not going to get a permit to build my pool. There's lots of reasons why the residents don't want to come here and be public about their comments. So for me, it makes it particularly important to knock on their door where it's just me and all I have is a business card from the city, and I ask what I can do for them. Since I got on council, I would say maybe 2 or 3 months in, I was getting bombarded by residents on Cherry Street, which in the Highlands is the street that backs up against the Joint Forces training base. And it was at that time that I learned that there is a cemented drainage ditch that runs the length of that down south. And it's been neglected, not necessarily by this base commander, but by the previous 1, 2, or possibly 3 base commanders. So it's used for a drainage ditch. It's supposed to drain. It's been neglected for so many years that trees have grown in there, bushes. I mean, it looks absolutely horrible, nothing like a drainage ditch. This has caused rodents and mice to run to the houses that are up against that drainage ditch, as well as when it rains, there's a lot of mosquitoes. So they were having major mosquito issues. So between last year and this year, I've hosted community meetings at residents' houses on Cherry or somewhere in the Highlands. Brought in OC Vector reps, brought in Joint Forces training base reps, brought in the bases, public works folks. You wouldn't imagine how difficult it is to clear out an overgrown drainage ditch. It was neglected for so many years that the drainage ditch was dubbed an environmental area, so no one could do anything with it. So I've been working with base leadership, our Colonel Fox, for solidly 1.5 years. And just today, I'm happy to report that they were bringing in bulldozers, backhoes. They're bringing in by the truckload heavy machinery because I showed up at the residents' doors and I asked them, what do you need? Not once has a resident come to this council meeting to talk about the drainage ditch in their backyard. It's interesting because the drainage ditch is not in my jurisdiction. The base is in my district. I don't represent a military base. So coordinating with base leadership to get that cleared out took a while. It took 1.5 years. It took 1.5 years to get it fully funded as well. So for the next 3 weeks in the Highlands, if everyone's watching, for the next 3 weeks in the Highlands, there's going to be continued efforts to clear out the drainage ditch for the length of the drainage ditch so that this winter, we're hoping that that drainage ditch will not overflow. Like last winter, there were major issues. It was coming up onto the property lines of the residents on Cherry Street. So I'm happy to report that we got it fully funded. It's not the LoSal taxpayer is not paying a dime for it. And I want to commend our Colonel Fox for working with me for the last 1.5 years to get this done. Like I said, for the next 3 weeks, they're going to be working on that. Those are the reasons why I'm on City Council. It's not the big stuff that doesn't mean a lot to the residents who don't want to come to a meeting and talk about something. It's a boring drainage ditch that's in their backyard that's causing mice and rodents to run into their house, something that actually matters to them. So looking forward to another 2 years of that. Thank you.
Councilmember Adobe.
All right, I went to all of my regular meetings, OCOG, ACCOC, the Library Advisory Committee meeting, which they only meet quarterly. I'd like to remind everybody of that. I attended the trunk or treat, and I worked in the beverage garden. If you ever want to go to an event and be there, but kind of not be there, you can work in the beverage garden too, with Mayor Pro Tem's permission. I went to a MetroLink briefing with ACCOC hosted it, and it was the CEO of MetroLink, and they were telling us all of the fascinating ways that they're trying to get us out of our cars and into buses and trains. And of course, everyone's fussing about the length of time, but then there's also some attention that needs to be paid to safety, and they're actually looking to address those issues, especially with closer revolving turnover times. So I think he said it went from like a 30-minute stop to now they're down to like 7 or 8 minutes between stops. So it's getting more attractive to the bus and train riders. I attended with the chief, Congresswoman Steele's Veterans of Distinction presentation that was hosted out in Brea. Because I've just been such a peach at my library meetings, I got a private tour of our library ahead of its grand opening. So I got to see some of the fabulousness before it was officially opened. And I today was able to attend our official grand reopening. And y'all, they gave me the scissors. They let me cut the ribbon. And it was so amazing. I would encourage everybody, you've got to go and check it out. I don't know if you saw the library before. It was kind of dark. It was very overwhelming. It was very crowded. I don't know how they did what they did with such a small space, but they really opened it up. They created so much more light. We have a reading room. It's not a reading room, it's a program room, but they can do like story time. We've already got the Charlie cart. And then we are the first library in all of Orange County, and this is going back to me being sweet as pie. We have a kiosk you can scan yourself out. You can sign up for a library card all by yourself. I got one today. I was the first person to check a book out. It's still in my purse. And everyone go. They've already got story time scheduled. We've got the Charlie cart, which is the cooking cart. So they're gonna come out and they're gonna do cooking demonstrations. I am so excited that we're back. And then I would like to add an item for a future agenda. Is that how you do that? Add an item for a future agenda item? The redundancy of agenda. Anyway, I would like for us to take a look at the 2 streets. I believe the zip code is 90808, but they are Los Alamitos. And I've heard some scuttle about the difficulties with packages, mailings, and like getting the mail because of the difference in the zip codes. And I have confirmed that they do pay the Orange County tax assessor. So if we could look into that for the two streets, it's about 24 addresses or 30 addresses that are 90808, Long Beach, Los Al.
I'll second that.
Done.
Anything else? Okay,
Done.
2 things. Last week I went to the city selection meeting where our own Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink was appointed the most recent member of the Airport Land Use Commission.
Congratulations.
Maybe a little bit too late. Also went to the change of command for the 40th Infantry Division and extended my thank you or my congratulations to General Prendergast. To the extent that the 40th ID works with the city, I don't know how much interaction we have, but he seems very excited, very willing to work with us and get to know us, so that's a positive note. With that, we will adjourn today's meeting at 8:54 p.m.